Have you ever really sat there and thought, who's actually the strongest slasher in horror history? Because there are so many of them, and obviously everybody's got their favorite. But if you took every iconic slasher and threw them into one giant room, no rules and no plot armor, who is walking out alive and who is getting packed up in the first round? And that's exactly what we're doing here today. We're putting every slasher against every slasher to find out who the real top dog of horror is. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? And today we're talking about the GOAT himself, Michael Myers.
Michael, God damn you.
The man, the myth, the silent menace who's literally been walking through suburbs and stabbing babysitters since the 70s essentially. And fun fact, the 1978 film was actually supposed to be titled The Babysitter Murderer, so But here's the question I've been thinking about. If Michael Myers had to throw hands or knives with other horror icons, who is he actually beating or who would he lose to? So today we're putting Michael Myers up against some of the biggest names in horror. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So coming in at the top tier is They Kill Michael, pretty self-explanatory. 50-50, which means either Michael could win or the other opponent can win. It's really up for debate. It'll take some time, which means it'll take some time for Mikey, but essentially he'll win. And they'll lose easily is, they'll lose easily. And first we have Freddy Krueger. Now on paper, this does look like a terrible matchup for, Michael. Since Freddy lives in dreams and Mikey lives in reality, Freddy's already got the advantage if he can pull Michael into his little nightmare realm. Here's the thing, Jason Voorhees literally beat Freddy, the same guy that Michael is constantly being compared to. Now I know Jason didn't actually beat Freddy with ease. Even in the real world, he had some trouble killing him, and in the dream world, he absolutely got tossed around. And at the end of Freddy vs. Jason, it was Laurie and Will who kind of, helped assist in killing Freddy by, distracting him with, fire, which in the end then gave Jason enough time to punch a hole in Freddy's stomach, essentially killing him. But nonetheless, he still held up his own. So if Jason could resist Freddy in his dream world long enough until Freddy got pulled out of the dream world, Michael could definitely hold his own because nothing's really scaring Michael, not even water. I don't even think Michael has anything that he's scared of, honestly. And Michael also has that same unrelenting energy, and he's a tank too, might I add. So yeah, I genuinely think this is a 50-50 because Michael could win or he could lose. And I'm not going to say for certain that Freddy will kill Michael because I just don't think that. And next we have Jason Voorhees. Now this is the matchup. This is the heavyweight championship of slasher horror. Like if there was a UFC type of event in real life for horror slashers, this would basically be the Conor McGregor versus Khabib fight, in my opinion. Like these two dudes have literally zero emotion. They also have zero cardio issues, which is pretty funny, and they also have infinite plot armor. Honestly, every single character has infinite plot armor, but these two guys, I mean, they just can't seem to lose at all. But if we're being real though, Jason's got the edge on Michael. Jason's been to hell, he's been to space, he's tanked bullets, explosions, and electricity like it's nothing. But Michael is obviously no joke either. He can take gunshots like Jason, fall out of balconies, and still get up like nothing happened. Oh, and also Michael got beat by a mob of people, then got back up and beat them all. So they're pretty even in my opinion in terms of tankiness and determination to put belt to ass. But let's just say they met head to head in Crystal Lake or Haddonfield. Honestly, I would have to give this win to Jason just because he's stronger and he's shown to have better feats than Michael. Now Michael would get a few solid hits in, no doubt, and honestly it would be a very bloody battle of just two dudes beating each other faces in. I would have to give this to Jason because them, they're both just gonna go for just a slash fest. And next we have Art the Clown. So Art the Clown is kind of tricky because at the end of Terrifier 1 and in Terrifier 2 we learn he's got some weird supernatural resurrection thing going on. So now it's kind of even. We have two immortal slashers with incredible pain tolerance. But Michael's just got more experience than Art does. He's been around for so much more. He's been around so much longer than he has, so he knows more about killing people than Art does. And at the end of the day, Art is just some regular demon, and honestly, Michael's punching him straight in his face. And also, Art the Clown would feel it too, since he feels pain like a normal human, which is kind of a huge weakness for Art the Clown, even though he can't die. So if you can feel pain like a human, when you take a shot from somebody, you're gonna feel it and you're gonna be stunned. stunned. And that's kind of crucial in a fight when you get stunned. And Michael doesn't feel pain at all. So Art could essentially like whip out his chainsaw and hit Michael, and then he would just brush it off and then give him the old 1-2 Mayweather. So yeah, if these two met 100%, it would be a bloodbath, considering that now we have Art the Clown in the mix. But I would have to put Art the Clown in It'll Take Some Time, because I'm not gonna lie, Michael's not gonna kill him with complete ease because he is immortal. But I mean, like, they're both kind of immortals. I mean, everyone on this list is kind of immortal, like they always come back for a sequel even if they're just a human. And next we have Ghostface. So Ghostface, or I guess Ghostfaces, since you know there's always a sequel, and screw it, let's just say they always come back, because in my opinion Ghostface needs all the help he can in this scenario. But still, it's not even close. Like, this one's not even close at all. Ghostface is genuinely just a serial killer. He's not really a well, even though he technically is a horror slasher, kind of isn't at the same exact time. And how all the Ghostfaces kill is by surprise and planning, and not because of raw power or really any skill in combat. And in a situation where you literally have to throw hands with Michael Myers himself, like, you can't just shoot him. He's not just gonna fall down when you shoot him. You can't pin him down because he's just gonna break out of the restraints one way or another. You have to literally fight this guy head on. And as we all know, there's not even one Ghostface that could genuinely go hand to hand with Michael Myers. Like, Michael Myers is beating every single one. Like, he's even taking Billy and Stu in a 1v2. Easy peasy, no doubt in my mind. But even though I say that, you might say, well, then it'll take some time for Michael because, you know, it's every single Ghostface from every single movie coming at him, you know, one by one. Not in like a one versus all, but one versus one at a time. And honestly, I would still have to say they lose easily, because even though they're coming one at a time, you're still gonna slice through them all in like one hit. And next we have Jeepers Creepers. So the Creeper is basically a monster that eats human body parts to regenerate and can literally fly. Like, this is the first person on this list that can fly in the real world. Mikey can't really keep up with a guy that's flying. Like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna throw his knife 300 feet into the air? I mean, he definitely could, but I don't take Michael as the archer type. Like, I don't really think he can snipe that. Maybe he can, I don't know. We've never seen it before. Also, the Creeper has armor, speed, strength, and centuries, and I'm talking in centuries of experience. Michael is terrifying because, you know, he's like a human supernatural monster, but the Creeper literally is an actual creature. The Creeper will definitely kill Michael Myers. And next we have Pinhead. I don't even know if you would even call Pinhead a slasher, but even if he was a slasher, he's not in the same league. He is a literal extra dimensional being who manipulates reality, pain, and pleasure. Like, he can summon chains from the void, open gateways to hell, and tear you apart just because you touched the wrong puzzle box. Some say Michael is a demon or just a human who's pure evil, but I think he's a supernatural being who is pure evil, like a supernatural, you know what I mean. I just don't believe that he's just a normal human at all. But since Michael is a pure evil supernatural being, where do you think pure evil comes from? Hell. And Pinhead is an extra dimensional being who could send Michael back to the depths of hell. So yeah, Pinhead would put him on the first ride back to hell. And last but not least, we have Chucky. Now look, Chucky's got some voodoo magic and he is sneaky, but he's also like 2 feet tall. Michael would probably kick him across the room by accident. Oops, accidentally punted this guy 300 yards into the end goal, and Michael has enough strength to do that either. It's not like Michael has normal people's strength. This guy is like a monster. Like Yoda says, size matters not. But I mean, in this scenario, kind of does matter. Unless Chucky somehow gets the jump on him with an ambush. Michael's too big, and he also has like spider senses, in my opinion. I don't know why, but Mikey just knows when someone is like near him for some reason. I don't know why. What could Chucky do to Michael Myers, really? And he's just too emotionless to even fall for Chucky's tricks. So yeah, Chucky loses, but I wouldn't say he loses easily, in my opinion. I would put him in It'll Take Some Time. And that's it. So you guys went absolutely bonkers for the Michael Myers versus videos. The comments were absolutely flooded with people saying, dude, Jason Voorhees next. And honestly, I mean, how can I not? I mean, come on, Michael and Jason are essentially the faces of horror. Like, if you're talking about slashers, these two basically own the genre, if we're really being real here. So today we're putting the hockey mask back on Jason Voorhees. We're actually gluing it to his face so he can come back for another sequel because we need another movie. And then we're seeing which horror killers from this list could actually survive against the one and only Jason Voorhees, or could they beat him? So I mean, the tiers are very self-explanatory. We got they beat Jason 50-50 and Jason wins. So the first person that we have on this list is none other than Art the Goat. Now for this video, we're going to be putting zombie Jason and human Jason up against, different characters. Like for instance, we're going to be putting zombie Jason up against people like Pinhead because they're supernatural. But for Ghostface, we're going to be putting up human Jason Voorhees against Ghostface. So for Art the Clown, we're doing Art and zombie Jason, since they both technically can't die and they're both immortal. Now they both tank some serious injuries and always come back from it. Like I'm talking about, they always come back from it. I mean, every single horror movie in literal existence, the main character or the main slasher always comes back whether they die or they don't die. And yeah, it might take them a couple of minutes to get back on their feet, but they're still getting on their feet nonetheless. So you would think that this is just a tie since they're both immortal, or like a 50-50. Like, hey, if they both can't die, how does one win? Well, I mean, you're kind of right in that sense, but winning a fight doesn't mean you have to kill them. Like if both are immortal, I'd look at it like a UFC match. They would both fight until the other one gets knocked out, or they let it go to the judge. But in this case, since there's literally no refs in a slasher versus slasher scenario, it would only have to be a knockout or completely dismember their body to the point where they just can't move anymore. And also, don't forget, Art the Clown can feel pain like a normal human. Even though Art might still be a tall guy around like 6'2" or something, but he weighs like 150 pounds soaking wet. So I mean, like, yes, he is very strong. Like he can break skulls with his bare hands as seen in Terrifier 3, but I mean, like, he's not doing anything to Jason Voorhees whatsoever. Even in a close quarters fight, Jason Voorhees is ripping off Art the Clown's head in literally just one grab, and boom, his head is completely off his body. So yeah, Jason dog walks Art the Clown and knocks him out in the first 7 seconds of the first round. So Art the Clown, honestly, Jason wins easily. Next, we have the Creeper. So now we've got the Creeper versus zombie Jason Voorhees. Now this fight could happen in two different ways, one in the open and one in a secluded area. So if they met out in the open, Jason would kind of have a tough time getting close because the Creeper can fly, and that's a pretty huge advantage over somebody that can't fly like Jason Voorhees. So if the Creeper would be flying overhead of Jason, throwing spears or throwing really whatever he wants at him, or even picking Jason up and then dropping him out of the sky, that can do some serious damage. Now, I mean, since Jason is known to tank anything in mankind, I feel like flying for the Creeper wouldn't be the reason that he defeats Jason Voorhees. I mean, Jason literally got flown around by Freddy in the dream state and still got back up like nothing happened. So as we can see, Jason can tank some flying hits or being thrown around in air, if that makes any sense. Now, if this fight takes place in a secluded area, so let's say Camp Crystal Lake, I feel like Jason would dominate easy peasy. So even if the Creeper gets him in the air, it's really not entirely over. Even though Jason's got no way to counter that, he's going to simply just have to tank it. And as I've already said, he's tanked stuff like this before against Freddy. So honestly, I don't have the Creeper winning 100%. I would say it's low-key pretty even. Like, I don't have him beating Jason easy peasy. So I feel like this could just go either way. And next we have Ghostface. Now we're gonna use Roman Bridger in this scenario because I always use Billy and Stu. Now Roman is easily the smartest Ghostface out of the entire bunch, or out of the entire franchise of Scream. He's not just a slasher in my opinion, he is a mastermind, and he was the first person to work alone as a Ghostface. And he would be going up against human Jason in this scenario because Roman Bridger is a human. So Roman's intelligence already gives him a pretty big advantage over Jason. Unlike most killers on this list, or probably every single killer on this list except maybe Pinhead, he would study Jason, learn his weaknesses, figure out his kill patterns, and maybe even try to set up a few traps before ever coming face to face with him. But even if Roman knows every single weakness that Jason has, I still don't think that's enough for him to beat him. Now you might say, well, characters in the Friday 13th franchise all the time always manage to beat Jason in the movies. We've seen it. That's just how it goes. And yeah, I feel like that's just called plot armor. That's not really skill. It's kind of the writer's way of giving the audience a breather before Jason literally comes back in the sequel. Now don't get me wrong, this wouldn't be an easy win for Jason. I guess it kind of would. But I mean, Roman's clever and he would definitely put up a strategic fight. I mean, if it ever went to hand-to-hand combat, obviously Roman Bridger would get sliced and diced. There would be no contest there whatsoever, but Roman's pretty smart. I feel like he wouldn't just fight a 6'6", 300-pound grown man, but I really still couldn't give Roman Bridger a 50-50 over Jason. In this case, you guys might be like, are you stupid? I might have to put Roman Bridger over Art the Clown in this scenario. In this scenario, only because Roman's going up against human Jason Voorhees and Art's going up against zombie Jason Voorhees. So, and next we have Pinhead. Now Pinhead right away is going in They Beat Jason. I don't really have to say anything about this. This is kind of a no-brainer. Pinhead is literally an interdimensional being from hell that can do all these supernatural things. Honestly, I even have Pinhead over Freddy. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer as well. But Pinhead doesn't need to use the dream state. He could just do everything that he does in the real world. Like if Freddy could do everything that he could do in the real world, he would be OP. Pinhead is basically Freddy, but he can do it in the real world, but 10 times. And next we have Rob Zombie's Michael Myers. Now in my last video, I did human Jason Voorhees against John Carpenter's Michael Myers. And I gave Jason the win last time, but this time we're spicing things up. For this video, I'm putting Rob Zombie's Michael Myers up against Jason Voorhees as a human, since they're both humans. So if these two were to 1v1, it wouldn't be about strategy at all. Because like I said before in my last video, Jason isn't an intelligence killer, neither is Michael. I mean, yes, they know how to stalk, yes, they're stealthy, but like compared to like an intelligent being like Hannibal Lecter, it's just like they just don't have any smarts. I don't really know what to say. They have like animalistic smarts where they know how to protect their territory, but that's it. That's literally it. They purely just rely on brute strength. So in this fight, it would be about endurance. Who can take more hits and who can keep swinging? Because these two are literally, what, the same in height and the same in weight? So I mean, like, it's just gonna be a brutal bloodbath. Now, Jason's used to pain. He's been stabbed, shot, burned, and still keeps going. Michael, Rob Zombie, on the other hand, channels his pain into power. Every single time he gets angry or every single time he gets hit, he just keeps going even worse. Like, he just doesn't stop. So I feel like Michael would be better in close quarters in this scenario, Rob Zombies. But I feel like if they fought in an open area like the woods, Jason would take it, because Rob Zombie's Michael Myers is kind of just like this big beast. Like, that's really the best way you can explain it. So I would say no one really wins in this one. Like, it's literally a 50-50. Anyone could win. Next, we have Leatherface. So now we're going to do human Jason versus Leatherface. Now, these are both very big boys. Pause. Just like the Michael versus Jason fight that everybody hypes up. Bro, I feel like I would love to see a Michael or Jason versus Leatherface movie now that I think about it. Like, if you low-key think about it, both Jason and Leatherface are kind of alike. They both kind of protect their territory in a way. Like, if you step foot in Crystal Lake, you're kind of cooked. And if you show up near Leatherface's crib, you're kind of cooked. Now, when Leatherface fights, it's kind of like watching a panic attack, but this time with a chainsaw. Like, imagine you're having a panic attack and you have a chainsaw in your hand. That's kind of the best way to describe how Leatherface fights. But Jason, on the other hand, he's kind of the opposite. He's calm and moves like he's a true hunter. Now, a chainsaw against human Jason honestly is pretty OP if you really think about it. And on top of that, they're the same exact size, so Leatherface could do some real damage. But Leatherface is also a very emotional person, and honestly, I feel like he might even low-key be scared of Jason, because I mean, he's scared of his own family. Leatherface might be strong, but once Jason gets past that chainsaw, I feel like it's GG. I'll put him at the top of Jason wins, because I just don't see him in any scenario really winning against Jason, in my opinion. Next, we have Chucky. Now, the thing about Chucky is he's way more dangerous than people give him credit for. Yeah, I mean, he's small, but I mean, he's pretty smart. Not as smart as like Roman Bridger, and he actually has a supernatural edge thanks to that voodoo curse. Like, the best way, in my opinion, to describe Chucky is that he's like Ant-Man. But also, Jason is not the kind of guy you can just sneak up and stab in the leg. Like, Jason would literally take the knife out of his leg and then punt Chucky like a football across Crystal Lake. But here's where things do get tricky. Maybe he could even try to possess Jason's body with his ritual if he had enough time. The problem is Jason doesn't really have much of a soul left to transfer into, especially now that he's a zombie, because we're doing zombie Jason against zombie, well, not zombie Chucky, we're doing zombie Jason against Chucky because Chucky's supernatural, so it only makes sense. But once Jason grabs Chucky, it's kind of just GG. Yeah, we'll put him right there. And next we have Candyman. So Jason can't just stab or decapitate a ghost like he usually does to all his victims. And Jason's entire fighting style, as we've said in this entire video, is he just depends on hitting something he can physically destroy. Like for instance, he wouldn't be smart enough to set Candyman on fire or use his weaknesses against him. He just simply has brute force. Yes, he has that territorial hunter type of vibe, but that's more animalistic rather than actual intelligence. I don't think he would use fire against Candyman. Even though Jason's basically undead, he still exists in the physical world, and Candyman could appear and then vanish whenever he wants against Jason. So if Jason tried to swing on him, but you might say, well, I mean, if Jason gets a hold of him, then it's just GG, he's gonna slam him. I really would put Candyman in They Beat Jason. Is that kind of crazy to say? It's either 50-50, it's either they beat him or it's 50-50 like right here. I don't know, truthfully. I feel like it's safe to put him in 50-50. Just to be safe, we'll put him in 50-50. So I just got done watching the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie last weekend, and right after it ended, I knew that I had to make a Springtrap versus video. Now, I'm not gonna lie though, the movie was kinda mid. Like, I definitely expected more going in. Now, I know that the first one wasn't typically Oscar worthy either, but I thought this would be, you know, on par or even better than the first one. But it was still kind of cool seeing Guinevere Beck pop up, and the fact that Billy and Stu were in it was actually pretty cool, and that's low-key the only reason why I went to see it. And what I really wish we got was an actual scene with Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich talking to each other, but I don't know why they didn't seize that opportunity. It kind of would have made fans go insane. I'm curious, what do you guys think? Was FNAF 2 straight buns, or, you know, was it actually fire? But that is enough yapping. Let's explain the tiers. We have at the tippity top of the tiers, we have They Beat Springtrap, 50-50, and They Lose. So coming in first, we have Pennywise. Now, this one would actually be pretty funny if you think about it, because Pennywise wouldn't even have to fight Springtrap head on. Like, he could literally just morph into all the children William Afton killed and demand that he finally pays child support once and for all. Like, if you think about it, Springtrap would be kind of overwhelmed and probably just freak out and end himself right there. But on a serious note, there is really no option in which Springtrap wins this one at all. I mean, physically, Pennywise would win 100% because he could just morph into something giant and then break him in half, easy peasy. Or he could just hit him with the deadlights and trap William Afton's soul forever. So I mean, like, even if Springtrap tried to get clever, Pennywise's ability just to warp reality would make that completely impossible for Springtrap to even get clever at all. Maybe if bro had The Shining, or if he was backed up by the OP turtle, but I don't think he's getting any of that. So yeah, Pennywise wins 100%. Next we have Art the Clown. Now this one low-key might surprise you, but Art the Clown actually makes this way closer than people think. In a straight up physical fight, I would say Springtrap beats Art the Clown pretty easily because Art feels pain like a human and he goes down hard when he takes damage as well. Springtrap is also stronger, heavier because he's literally an animatronic, so I mean, like, what is Art the Clown really gonna do? I mean, Art the Clown can crush human skulls with his bare hands, which, you know, is insane, but I mean, with that strength, still doesn't compare to an animatronic monster powered by pure hatred. But the real problem is that Art the Clown cannot be permanently killed by normal means. To actually end Art the Clown for good, you need Sienna Shaw, the chosen one sent by God in the film to finish him once and for all. And there's absolutely no universe where Springtrap convinces Sienna to help him. The second she learned what William Afton did to those kids, I mean, Springtrap instantly joins Art on her kill list. And because of that, neither monster can really truly put each other down. But if you really had to think about it, and who actually comes down to who can immobilize someone else first or stop someone first, I would say that Springtrap definitely would be Art the Clown. But I don't think it would be, you know, easy for him at all. And next we have Ghost Rider. Now Springtrap is 100% cooked in this regard when Ghost Rider hits Springtrap with his Hellfire. Now you might say, but hasn't Springtrap survived fire before? Well, well, this isn't any ordinary fire. You see, Ghost Rider's fire burns sin itself, and William Afton is basically a walking pile of sin. Like, William Afton was a literal serial killer who killed kids. Like, that's the worst of the worst. And that's where Ghost Rider's penance there would come in. It basically forces the victim to feel every ounce of pain they've ever caused to others. Unlike physical damage, this isn't something Springtrap can just tank or regenerate from. It's basically like impossible. It just invades your mind. And you might also say that Springtrap can keep coming back, but Ghost Rider's power bypasses the animatronic body entirely entirely and go straight for the corrupted soul. So if William's soul, which is keeping the animatronic alive, dies, then Springtrap dies along with it. So yes, Ghost Rider would beat him 100%. And next we have Michael Myers. Now as we all know, Michael is insanely strong and famous for surviving things that should have killed him. Like bro, I swear this guy can't die whatsoever. Like the next thing you know, they're gonna make a movie of him coming back after he literally got shredded to pieces by an industrial shredder in Halloween Ends. Honestly, at this point, they might make another movie. Now the problem is that Michael's entire fighting style is, really built around stabbing people. That's really it, and just overpowering humans. Like he's never really went up against a supernatural being. Now Michael is relentless because, the man literally never gives up, but Springtrap is eternal in this sense, and there's nothing really Michael Myers could do to him. But really at the end of the day, Michael Myers has no reliable way to permanently disable a supernatural machine, or even just demobilize it for a second. I don't really think Michael could, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't even think that this would be a 50-50, but it wouldn't be easy. I don't think it would be easy. And next we have Jason Voorhees. Now this one, in my opinion, is closer than Michael Myers because Jason basically has everything Springtrap has. He has insane strength, insane durability, and a long history of always coming back. However, just like Michael, again, Jason's kills rely almost entirely on physical destruction. And well, actually, he has gone up against Freddy Krueger. He hasn't just gone up against humans. So honestly, that's a plus for Jason. But where Springtrap gains the advantage in this situation is his patience. Jason is just a pure raging force of nature who charges straight at his target, while Springtrap is kind of more of the genius. He'd be willing to lure Jason into traps or confined spaces where size and power literally matters less. But since we're talking about zombie Jason versus zombie Springtrap, which would be more fair in this scenario, this fight changes completely because neither of them can truly die. Now both have come back from total destruction over and over again, so this battle isn't about killing anymore. It's about who can imprison the one forever, or just demobilize them for a little bit. So what really decides this matchup is intelligence, and since Springtrap is driven by William Afton's soul, he still has an understanding of how to trap someone for good. Honestly, I would give this a 50-50, I'm not gonna lie. And next we have Hannibal Lecter from the TV show. Now you guys are probably saying, Hannibal Lecter from the TV show? Are you serious, buddy? Against someone like Springtrap? But hold on. Now obviously Springtrap has the advantage when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, so we're just not even going to talk about that. We're just going to throw that out of the way. Because even though Hannibal is trained in a lot of mixed martial arts, it's like he's not coming close to a supernatural animatronic. But here's the thing, Hannibal doesn't need to fight Springtrap to win. Like for instance, when he's killing his victims in the show, aka humans, he's not just slicing and stabbing brainlessly. He is playing with your head and turning everything around you into a trap while staying 5 steps ahead. Now imagine Springtrap walks into a room thinking he's about to ambush someone. Springtrap can just smash and claw all he wants, but Hannibal's little mind games can make him work for every strike. Now eventually Springtrap's pure strength, since he's a crazy animatronic and he's like 7 foot tall, eventually he's gonna get through to Hannibal and kill him 100%, but I don't think it would be really easy for him. Hannibal Lecter is way smarter than William Afton, but yeah, since he's a human, I would have to say he loses, but I don't think it would be easy. And next we have Jeepers Creepers. Now the Creeper's all about being fast as hell and flying, which makes him a hard target since, Springtrap can't fly at all. He's basically on the ground, and he's also slow as hell. Springtrap is in an animatronic. He is pretty slow, I'm not gonna lie. He can't really walk fast or run or anything like that. But Springtrap is clever and knows how to make someone pay for underestimating him, because if Jeepers Creepers just sees this animatronic thing that's slow, can't run, he's gonna be like, yo, this is easy peasy. And also, he is used to humans running terrified, but Springtrap I don't feel like would be scared of the Creeper at all. And that would low-key frustrate the Creeper, which could lead him into thinking that he can get away with using the same moves he does on humans on Springtrap. Honestly, this is the kind of fight where neither can really relax. Like every moment is basically a cat and mouse scenario, and the winner is literally whoever gets the upper hand first without making a stupid mistake. So I would say another 50-50. And last but not least, we have Sam and Dean Winchester. Now this matchup all comes down to preparation. As we know, Sam and Dean aren't just fighters, they're hunters, human hunters. They know how to exploit monsters' weaknesses and call in the right supernatural tools to neutralize these monsters that would crush any ordinary human. Now with the right plan, they can slow Springtrap, maybe contain him and eventually destroy him in ways that prevents him from ever coming back, because they have done some crazy stuff like that before in the show. And Springtrap wouldn't be this rare, unorthodox case that they've never seen before. This would kind of just be like another Tuesday for him. Now, I'm not talking about the entire Five Nights at Freddy's operation. That would obviously take a little bit more time, but since we're just talking about Springtrap alone, yeah, honestly. Now, Sam and Dean aren't just the two type of idiots to just rush in on supernatural monsters they know they can't beat in hand-to-hand combat. They obviously study, plan, and exploit the weaknesses of the animatronic body fused with William Afton's soul. Now, while Springtrap can take punishment, the Winchesters have tools that bypass their ability, like rituals specifically designed to trap or destroy cursed spirits. Like, for instance, they can call up Rowena, ask her for a spell. Like, in the end, if Sam and Dean truly come fully prepared, their experience with killing all these monsters, like these guys have went up against Lucifer, deities, ghosts, vampires, anything you name it. I feel like that would allow them to outsmart Springtrap, wouldn't it? So honestly, yes, I do think that they would beat Springtrap. With the newest Pennywise show that just dropped, It Welcome to Derry, our favorite dancing clown has officially made its way back into the spotlight. And honestly, the show's actually really good. Like, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it, which is kind of surprising. I thought the show would be bad, but actually it's amazing. So of course, me being the guy who always makes these versus videos, I started thinking, who in horror could actually beat Pennywise? Because Pennywise is actually really OP. So that's exactly what we're doing today. I've got a stack list of horror legends, and we're going to break down which ones could actually survive or straight up destroy Pennywise. So let me stop yapping, grab your popcorn, butter it up, and let's dive straight into it. So the tiers are very self-explanatory. We have they beat Pennywise, they give Pennywise a run for his money, and they lose pretty easily. So yeah, I don't need to explain any of it, so let's just get straight into the video. Coming in first, we have my favorite characters of all time, Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, these guys aren't horror characters at all. Well, I mean, actually, they technically are. I mean, their show is horror, and they're characters in a horror show, so I mean, I guess you could say horror characters. That's like a pretty good loophole, right? So for those who don't know, Sam and Dean go up against ghosts, demons, vampires, werewolves, like you name it, and they've probably went up against it. And oh, you know, sometimes they also do it solo. And they've even faced the literal devil himself, Lucifer, and survived and beat him. Not like physically beat him because they're just humans, but they've used resources and everything against them to do so. And let's not forget, they are favored by God, so the quote-unquote plot armor that you see in the show isn't just lazy writing whatsoever, it's literally divine intervention on their side. Like, they've even came back from the dead because God wanted them to. Like, that's pretty OP if you have God on your side. So before they take on any creature, they do extensive research. They have a bunker that's called the Men of Letters. It's packed with weapons, books, and tools to take down even the toughest monsters imaginable. So against a cosmic being like Pennywise, they would obviously study him, figure out his weaknesses, and plan a beautiful strategy instead of just rushing in blindly trying to kill this creature. This fight would 100% be tough, obviously, but Sam and Dean have taken down higher ranking entities than Pennywise before. So with prep, obviously the divine favor that God has for them, honestly, I would genuinely give the win to Sam and Dean Winchester. And next we have the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. Now this one is pretty cool because on paper, the Creeper might be the closest thing to Pennywise that we've gotten in the horror history, because he's ancient, demonic, and he hunts humans just like Pennywise. And he also regenerates, so I mean, that's a plus. And he also smells fear just like Pennywise. But here's the catch. While the Creeper's pretty powerful 100%, he still plays by the earthly rules. He is a biological demon with a feeding cycle, so every 23 years for 23 days. Pennywise, he doesn't have rules whatsoever. He can literally just create them. Let's say the Creeper tries to sneak attack Pennywise from the sky, because the Creeper obviously can fly, and suddenly the world around him shifts. He's gonna be like, what in the world just happened? Why am I not flying flying anymore? Why is the gravity shift? Like, Pennywise can do anything and destroy the creeper just like that. This would technically be an insane fight on paper, but once those deadlight hits, it's honestly game over for the creeper. Would I say he would give him a run for his money? Maybe in Pennywise's normal form, like his clown. Well, that's not his normal form. In his clown form, I feel like he definitely could give Pennywise a run for his money, but once Pennywise turns into his true form, it's completely over. So I'll just put him in, he'll give him a run for his money, but Pennywise still wins, obviously. And next we have Pinhead. Now this would be an actual fair fight, like an actual fair fight, because these are two cosmic level monsters. So Pennywise is an ancient creature from beyond the known universe, and on the other hand, Pinhead is the leader of the Cenobites from hell. So both of them right off the bat exist on higher planes where human concepts like life and death barely even matter to them. So while Pennywise does thrive on fear, Pinhead doesn't feel fear at all. This guy is from hell. This guy basically creates fear just like Pennywise. And since Pennywise can't really use fear on Pinhead, that stuff wouldn't really work on him at all. He would have to use his true form, the Deadlights. But then again, the Deadlights against Pinhead, who is another cosmic entity, wouldn't really do, well, it obviously will do something against Pinhead, no doubt, but it wouldn't do something like if Pinhead was just a regular human from Earth. Pennywise would still have to earn this win, even if he was in his true form. But since Pinhead is the leader of the Cenobites and has other entities behind him at all times, I really do feel like Pinhead would win this one. I don't know, that one could be definitely up for discussion, so I would have to put him in They Beat Pennywise. And next we have Art the Clown. Now, Pennywise would kind of love Art the Clown, I feel like, because, you know, they're both clowns at the end of the day. You would see him as this kind of little jester. Now, at first, Pennywise wouldn't take him seriously at all. He would probably just mess with him just for fun, maybe even shapeshift into one of Art's victims, or even into a version of Art himself as a human. And knowing Art's sense of humor, he would probably think it's all part of the act. He would probably just think, oh, this is just one big joke. Until Pennywise stops pretending and decides to get serious, it's just over absolutely instantly. And even if Art tried to fight back physically, I feel like it wouldn't really matter at all. Pennywise could just snap into his true form and then just snap him in half, or literally eat him alive in a second. But I would like to think that he would keep Art alive, maybe even make him an accomplice or something like that. Who knows? Art the Clown is losing very easily to Pennywise. And next we have Michael Myers. So the thing is with Michael is that he has no fear. That's literally his entire identity. But here's the thing, while Michael doesn't feel fear, he also doesn't really think that much at all. I mean, yes, he has his animal instinct of just kill, 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 and he's pretty good at stalking, but you can't really stalk Pennywise. That's just not even a thing at all. He's not human. And Michael wouldn't come up with a plan in the back of his head, analyzing or strategizing what Pennywise is or how he can even beat Pennywise in the first place. I feel like he would just keep walking toward him like he usually does with every one of his victims. If he saw him in his clown form, he would just be like, oh, this is just another clown guy in a costume. I'm just gonna kill him easily. And Michael technically is not supernatural at all. People, even though I truly think that Michael is a supernatural person, I don't even think he's human. He still is technically human in the John Carpenter universe, and Pennywise would beat him with absolute ease. But I would have to actually, I would even put him under Art the Clown, because Art the Clown is a demon, Michael's technically just a human. And next we have Freddy. Freddy would actually probably have a real shot here compared to all these other slashers. Now, these two are basically cut from the same cloth because they both feed off of fear. The main difference is where they rule. So Freddy owns the dream world and Penny dominates the real world, specifically Derry in this case, but it doesn't have to be just Derry. Now, if this fight happened inside of Freddy's dream realm, well, Pennywise could shapeshift still in Freddy's dream realm. Would that work? Could he actually? I think he could. I don't see why Pennywise couldn't shapeshift or use his powers in Freddy's dream world, even though Freddy does own the dream world. But the real problem is for Freddy is his ego. Now, this guy just can't help but taunt and drag things out for fun. He always has to have some type of monologue, and that's where Pennywise gets the upper hand. But that second of hesitation is all Pennywise would need to win against Freddy Krueger. But I would put Freddy in, he would definitely give him a run for his money, but I do have Pennywise beating Freddy. And last but not least, we have the GOAT himself,
Jason Voorhees. So right off the bat, this matchup would play almost exactly like Michael versus Pennywise. Jason also doesn't feel fear. The only thing that really throws him off is water, as Freddy used in the dream world against him as well. And even then, he usually powers through it if he's angry enough. But like Michael, Jason wouldn't stop to analyze what Pennywise is or try to figure out a plan. Grab the nearest weapon and just start walking straight toward him, just like Michael. Like, these two are kind of just like the same. Now, I will say this. Jason's physical power is no joke. He is way more stronger than Michael and can take way more punishment because, as we all know, Jason Voorhees is a zombie. Well, I mean, it depends on which character or which version of Jason Voorhees you look for. And also, as we've seen in Freddy vs. Jason, he got tossed around like a rag doll in the dreamscape, by the way, by Freddy, and he still wouldn't die easily. So even if Pennywise dominates in the fight, Jason would honestly kind of make him work for it. And that's why I would have to put Jason in the bottom of they would give Pennywise a run for his money, but obviously Pennywise is inevitably still winning. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to wherever my handsome or pretty viewers are watching this. And today I decided, wait, why in the world have I not made a Hannibal versus slashers video? So why not put the best serial killer in fiction up against horror's most savage fictional characters? Because let's not forget, Hannibal himself is kind of somewhat supernatural. The supernatural sniffer.
Did you just smell me?
So without further ado, let's just get straight into this video. But before we even do that, let me explain the tiers for you guys. Coming in at S tier is They'd Kill Hannibal, pretty self-explanatory. Honorable battle, which means it's kind of a 50-50, so really whoever I put here could either win or lose. It's pretty tricky, which means it'll be pretty tricky for Hannibal, but eventually he'll get the job done. And Easy Fight is just, yeah, come on, is this a joke? Now right off the bat, we have the man, the myth, the tall giant, Leatherface. Now, I'm pretty sure, as all of you may know, Leatherface isn't smart. He's not strategic whatsoever. He's basically a weapon being used by his messed up family. Hannibal, on the other hand, is a walking chessboard. Like, this guy is God compared to Leatherface. This is a guy who would probably cook Leatherface's entire family into a gourmet dish and serve it back to him with a glass of red wine that's been sitting for generations in his cabinet. So what happens when brute force meets cold precision? Like, if Hannibal ends up in Leatherface's territory, I mean, yeah, things could get ugly pretty quickly because that's his territory and he knows his way around his house. And that chainsaw that Leatherface wields is not just for show whatsoever either. Now, one slip up, one wrong step, and it's completely over for our goat Hannibal. But here's the thing, as we all know, Hannibal isn't a dum-dum. He wouldn't just come in blind. And let's be real, Leatherface gets rattled easily. He's brutal, but he's also very emotionally unstable. I mean, have you seen the film? If Hannibal can isolate him from the family and manipulate that fragile mind that he has, I mean, it's just completely game over. So yeah, Leatherface is terrifying, no doubt, but let's be real, Hannibal and Leatherface kind of have something in common. They're both cannibals. So for Leatherface, honestly, I would say it's pretty tricky because he does have a huge family and he is a pretty tall man with a chainsaw. So it's not going to be easy whatsoever, but yes, I do have Hannibal winning. And next we have Artie the Clowny. So for those of you who don't know, because every time I seem to make a video with Art the Clown, there's always that one guy in the comments that's like, Art the Clown is a demon and he's also immortal, so he can't be killed by a normal human dude. What the frick, man? That's why I use human Art the Clown. Then there's also people who proceed to say, dude, there's no such thing as a human Art the Clown. In the first movie, Art the Clown was human up until he died in the final scene. Then he was resurrected. That's when he became immortal. It's confirmed by Damien Leone himself, the maker of the franchise. So with that out of the way, how would human Art versus Hannibal go down? Well, I mean, as we've seen in the first Terrifier movie, this guy is a full-blown psycho, no doubt. But I mean, he doesn't possess really any good hand-to-hand combat skills whatsoever, or even good planning skills, or he honestly doesn't even have a brain at all. He just goes in and just rips through people. That's really Art's psychology. But then again, Art the Clown is very unpredictable. I'll give him that. He could just pull out a gun out of his bag and shoot Hannibal like he did with Tara. But Hannibal isn't an idiot, and I can confidently say that he wouldn't let Art the Clown get anywhere near his bag in combat. So in my opinion, Hannibal eats Art the Clown easily until he realizes that Art the Clown can be resurrected, because then one day he could randomly wake up with a stomachache and feel Art the Clown's remains coming back to life in his intestines. Then he'd be dead from the inside out. Pretty ironic, not gonna lie. So yes, if this was immortal Art the Clown, he would kill Hannibal, but since this is human Art the Clown, honestly, it's an easy fight for Hannibal, let's be real. And next we have Ghostface. And for this, let's just say it's Billy and Stu. Why not? And honestly, this one's not even fair at all. Compared to the heavy hitters I have on this list like Freddy, Jason, or even Leatherface, Ghostface is basically the junior varsity of horror killers. Don't get me wrong, the mask is iconic, the voice is creepy, and the kills are brutal. But when you peel back the mask, it's always just some angsty teen or bitter adult with a kitchen knife and a grudge. And since we're talking about Billy and Stu, these guys are just high schoolers. Like, they're not doing anything to Hannibal whatsoever. They're even more of an easy fight than Art the Clown. Now here is when things start to get juicy. Next we have Freddy Krueger, the DILF. So Freddy isn't just some guy you can outbox, outshoot, or even outsmart in the traditional sense. Freddy operates on a whole different playing field, like literally. Unless Hannibal suddenly becomes a lucid dreamer or a sleep paralysis demon hunter, then he's got a serious problem here. In this situation, I feel like Hannibal would be pretty grounded, because he's all about intellect, manipulation, and turning your trauma into a 5-star dinner. But then again, Freddy will take that trauma and remix it into a nightmare and have you reliving your worst moment on a loop while he laughs in your face and slices you into ribbons. So how would Hannibal even prepare for that? I mean, he does understand the human mind on a deep level, right? He's a therapist, and maybe even deeper than Freddy in some ways. But once Freddy pulls him into the dream world, all of that elegance and sophistication doesn't really mean much. You're in Freddy's sandbox now. But here's the twist. Hannibal is mentally fortified. Like, this guy cannot be manipulated whatsoever. You cannot induce fear into this guy whatsoever. This man has endured emotional torture, physical beatings, isolation, you name it. But still, let's not kid ourselves, Freddy has supernatural control over dreams. Unless Hannibal finds a way to bring Freddy into the real world, which yes, has happened in the movies, it's curtains for our Cannibal King. I feel like he would kill Hannibal, but then again, Hannibal could pull him out of the dream world and then survive Freddy, but I just don't really see Hannibal killing Freddy. So yeah, I would just put him in there. We're not gonna glaze too hard in this video. And next we have our favorite doll, Chucky. Now let's talk about the little red-headed menace himself. So at first glance, you'd think that Hannibal would completely mop the floor with this guy. I mean, come on, it's a doll. But don't get it twisted. Chucky may be pint-sized, he may be 2 Chick-fil-A sauces tall, but I mean, he's got that voodoo magic, and also the kind of foul mouth that would even make Hannibal raise an eyebrow. Now, if we're talking about base Chucky, like with no upgrades, no multiple bodies, just OG Charles Lee Ray trapped in a good guy doll, then yeah, I feel like Hannibal could handle that. Chucky's main advantage is catching people off guard. Like, he relies on people underestimating him, and honestly, who wouldn't? But Hannibal, he's way too perceptive for that. The man sees through facades for breakfast. Like, that's also his supernatural gift in the TV show. So the second Chucky tries to act like an innocent toy on Hannibal's shelf, Hannibal's already like, yeah, you're not fooling me, little man. And the moment that Chucky makes a move, Hannibal probably already has a fireplace lit and a carving knife ready. But if we're talking about later versions of Chucky, like where he can body hop and duplicate himself, then things get dicey. And I'm not gonna lie, Hannibal is not built for fighting an entire army of voodoo dolls jumping out of every shadow. I'll put him in honorable battle, just because it could be 50-50. And here's where the fun begins. Michael Myers. For this one, we'll use the original Michael Myers from Halloween 1978, which is the best horror film of all time. Debate me in the comment section below about that one. So, Hannibal and Michael can both tank some hits, but Michael obviously takes it in durability because this man survives multiple gunshots straight to the torso, but Hannibal can also take heavy beatings and fall out of high-story windows and still survive. Yes, he does get severely hurt like in season 3 where he fought Jack Crawford, but it still would be a fight nonetheless. I could just imagine how this thing would go down. Michael Myers steps into Hannibal's office. Hannibal looks at him and says, "Hello, can I help you?" Michael would just stare, tilt his head, then raise his knife and slowly walk towards him. Hannibal would just be like, "Who in the does this guy think he is?" Then he would politely remove his priceless suit jacket and proceed to throw hands. Hannibal would lead with a punch, only to be met with his knuckles brutally bruised because of Michael's tankiness. Then Michael would slap Hannibal like his disobedient son, messing up his beautifully gelled in hair. But inevitably in hand-to-hand, Michael is cooking Hannibal. But still, I do think Hannibal is holding his own nonetheless. This could be an honorable battle because if we really think about it, Hannibal is also a survivor. It's pretty easy to outrun Myers in a real-world scenario, like he's a literal snail. So for this, I'll put him above Chucky. And last but not least, we have Jason Voorhees. Now here's where stuff gets really tricky for Goatable. Now Jason isn't like Michael, he's more durable and more powerful. Like this guy punches through walls, breaks down doors, and sends people flying through the air. And he wasn't even a zombie in part 4 or part 3. So how could Hannibal go up against Deadpool's father? Well, I'd say that he'd have more of a chance than any other serial killer, not gonna lie. Now, as I've already been saying this entire video, Hannibal is not an idiot. And when it comes to Jason, I'm pretty sure he'd size him up and be like, yeah, no way in hell I'm beating this guy. So he would have to do what Hannibal does best, bait and then trap. But Hannibal would have to fight on Jason's turf because bro doesn't leave. And Jason knows his land to a T. Like, you're not outsmarting him on his turf. But then again, this is Hannibal we're talking about, not just some random guy. He could easily adapt to the terrain and eventually trap Jason back into the water. I'm not gonna lie, he's gonna kill Hannibal. 100%, no doubt in my mind. So yeah, did I cook or was it too much glazing? What would happen when Roman Bridger, the smartest Ghostface of them all, goes up against some of the deadliest killers in fiction? Unlike the other masked murderers, Roman isn't just a slasher, he's a director and a master of planning. But when the curtain rises on a battle between him and twisted minds like Dexter Morgan, Anton Chigurh, or John Kramer, the script doesn't always go his way. So in this video we'll break down how Roman stacks up against killers who don't play by horror movie rules. Would he outsmart them, or does his final act end in blood? Let's find out. Now, first off, let's start with Norman Bates. Now, Norman Bates might seem harmless at first glance. He's quiet and keeps to himself until his mother personality takes over. But Roman Bridger isn't fooled by soft voices or creepy old houses, or even a guy with dual personalities. He's dealt with people wearing masks, both literally and emotionally, so right off the bat, Roman would recognize Norman's split personality and use that against him. Now, Norman is also very mentally ill, and against someone like Roman Bridger, who has a head on his shoulders when it comes to killing people, is another huge advantage that he has over him. And also in hand-to-hand combat, I'd say that it's very obvious that Roman comes out victorious. And at the end of the day, Norman is just some tall, lanky, unorthodox killer with no real planning behind the lives that he takes. And in this scenario, Norman Bates does not survive whatsoever. And next we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Patrick Bateman. Now, Patrick Bateman has the money, the charm, and a taste for murder, but deep down, he's obsessed with control and his appearances. Now, Roman wouldn't care about Bateman's suits or his business cards. He'd see him for what he truly is, a spoiled narcissist with a short fuse. Now, Patrick might try to intimidate Roman or even show off his brutality, but Roman plays the long game. That's what he's good at. And honestly, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I think that Patrick Bateman would absolutely truck Roman Bridger in hand-to-hand combats with no knives or anything, like no weapons whatsoever. But with weapons, I do think Roman beats him. But then again, if Patrick Bateman pulls out his good old reliable chainsaw from out of his closet, you know, a little knife that Ghostface wields isn't really going to do anything against a bloodlusted Patrick Bateman. I mean, I'm sure that we all saw the scene where Patrick Bateman chased down that woman in the apartment complex. Yeah, he's no joke when he's cracked up on a thirst for blood. But inevitably, eventually in the long game, Patrick's ego would get in the way. And before he even realizes he's being hunted, Roman would be already filming the final scene on Patrick Bateman's life. So does Patrick Bateman survive Roman Bridger? Honestly, no, but it could be somewhat close in a hand-to-hand fight, but other than that, he totally gets dismembered. Now we have Dexter Morgan. Now, I mean, as we all know, Dexter isn't just your regular serial killer. He's a predator who hunts other predators. He's very precise and he's very careful. Now, Roman from the start would think that he's in control, but Dexter operates on another level. And honestly, Roman probably would never even see Dexter coming in the first place. It's kind of how he gets all his victims. But let's just give it to him. Let's say he does. So Dexter would track him, learn his routine, and strike when Roman feels most powerful. Now, this wouldn't be a fight. This would be a total execution. Even if it came to hand-to-hand combat, Dexter would completely obliterate Roman Bridger 110%. Like, Roman just has no real wiggle room to get away from Dexter. Like, yeah, sure, he's more skilled than the other Ghostfaces and maybe would last longer than the other Ghostfaces. Well, he wouldn't. Maybe he would last longer than the other Ghostfaces. But Roman literally is just like another episode kill, or even, you know, a couple episode kill for Dexter. I mean, yeah, he's a popular guy and he has status, but Dexter has taken down people with status before, and Roman would not be an exception whatsoever. He is 100% a Dexter victim, and in the end, Dexter would 100% survive Roman Bridger, and on top of that, he would even kill Roman Bridger. And next we have Jack from The House That Jack Built. Now, Jack sees every murder as a work of art. Now, Roman might feel like he's the director of his own horror movie, but Jack doesn't care about the spotlight. Roman would want attention, and Jack would want perfection. So if Roman ever tried to one-up Jack, he'd lose control, and Jack would take that moment to strike. In a battle of egos, because both of them do have egos, Jack's quiet obsession with meaning would overpower Roman's hunger for fame. Now, Roman might plan a scene, but Jack would turn it into a masterpiece, with Roman as the final piece. And honestly, for this one, there's not too much to be said. I do have Jack surviving Roman Bridger. Now we have John Kramer. Now, going up against someone like John Kramer is like walking into a test that you just didn't study for. So Jigsaw is a mastermind who turns people's weaknesses into death traps. Now, Roman would never expect someone to be 10 steps ahead, and if he found himself caught in one of Jigsaw's games, all his clever tricks and Ghostface acts wouldn't save him whatsoever. Like, he would be completely cooked 110%. He wouldn't be able to charm or intimidate his way out. John wouldn't just punish Roman, he'd completely break him psychologically and physically. But for this sake, let's just say John doesn't have him in his trap already, because that wouldn't really make any sense in a 1v1 scenario. And also, John can't use his disciples to do the deed for him as well. And honestly, I think Roman would actually come out on top, and that might be an unpopular opinion. And yes, John is way smarter than Roman, no doubt, but like, if it ever came down to it, if it had to come to a physical altercation and maybe a cat and mouse game, I think Roman is beating John Kramer. Now, honestly, this one is a 50-50 in my opinion, so we'll just leave it at that. And now we have Gus Fring. Now, Gus Fring is a professional and a deadly one when he needs to be. Now, Roman thrives on drama and chaos, but Gus lives in structure and silence. So if Roman ever tried to pull one of his horror movie stunts on Gus, it wouldn't end well whatsoever. As we all know, Gus doesn't play any games, and if you watch Breaking Bad at all, this man doesn't even play in general. And if you mess with him, you'll more than likely die. Now, Roman might try to stalk him, leave messages, or try to get in his head, but as we all know, Gus doesn't react emotionally whatsoever. I mean, have you seen this guy's death stare? Like, come on. And if anything, it would probably even hurt him more in the long run if he tried to toy with Gus. And if Gus ever finds Roman, he'd be dead before Roman could even know it. So yes, Gus Fring survives Roman Bridger 100%. And next we have Anton Chigurh. Now, Anton Chigurh is literally fate in human form. He doesn't get angry, he doesn't panic, he just moves forward, killing literally everything in his path. And I mean literally everything. And in this situation, Roman would not have control whatsoever. whatsoever. He wouldn't fall for the Ghostface act or get drawn into Roman's games. He'd simply flip a coin, track Roman down, and kill him without hesitation whatsoever. And if anything, Anton probably would just find out what set Roman is shooting at that specific day, then walk in, shoot him while he's in the director's chair, and then walk out like nothing happened. So yeah, Anton Chigurh is surviving Roman Bridger. Now second to last, we have our boy Louis Bloom. Now you might be saying, Louis Bloom isn't a serial killer, but he is a killer indirectly. Kind of. Now, Louis Bloom is probably the closest thing Roman has to a rival. He's obsessed with media, fame, and getting the perfect shot. But Louis doesn't get his hands dirty. He lets others die while he captures it all on camera. And if these two ever crossed paths, it would become a battle of manipulation. Roman might try to intimidate Louis, but Louis would twist the narrative. And honestly, I don't even think Roman could intimidate Louis. This man didn't even break in an interrogation room anyways. So in a game of psychological warfare, honestly, I would have to give it to Louis, I'm not gonna lie. But honestly, he could expose Roman, film everything, and then sell it to the highest bidder, and then potentially ruin Roman's life. I feel like Louis could potentially survive if he uses that against Roman. But then again, if Roman just sees, wait, you're recording me, I'll just kill you. Unless it's live, then he can't really do that. I'd give it to Louis. I would say he survives. And last but not least, we have William Afton. Now for this, I'm going to be doing the William Afton video game version. Now in the thumbnail, I know I have the movie version of William Afton, but I mean, let's just make it more brutal for him. Why not? Now Afton doesn't really play by human rules anymore. He survived fires, experiments gone wrong, and even death itself, coming back again and again, through whatever twisted means necessary. And honestly, what am I even saying? Springtrap is annihilating, and I mean annihilating, Roman Bridger. When it comes to horror heroes, few are as iconic or as ridiculously over the top as Ash Williams, the boomstick slinging, chainsaw handed, one-man army from the Evil Dead franchise. He's fought deadites, demons, time travel, and his own evil clone, all with a cocky grin and a one-liner locked and loaded. But what happens when Ash Williams steps outside his cabin in the woods and into the blood-soaked world of horror's most legendary slashers? In this video, we're throwing Ash into a gauntlet against some of the most deadliest killers in horror history. Can Ash beat these horror slashers, or will one of them finally shut him up for good? Now, before we get into this video, let me explain the tiers for you guys so you understand what I'm ranking. Coming in at S tier is Ash's hardest battle, which is pretty self-explanatory. Honorable battle, which means it'll be like a 50-50. It'll take some time, which means it's pretty easy for Ash, but I mean, it'll take some time just because of how annoying it might be. And so easy it's laughable is, I mean, just there's no questions whatsoever. And coming in first, we have Chucky. Now, Chucky is a different story altogether. Compared to big husky killers like Jason or Michael, Chucky almost feels like a joke, at least at first glance. The killer doll may only be 2 feet tall, but inside that plastic body is the soul of Charles Lee Ray, a sadistic, foul-mouthed serial killer with a taste for chaos and blood. Now, the fight would probably start with immense confusion. Ash would hear a creepy laugh echoing through a dark room, then something tugs at his pant leg. Then bam! A bite to the ankle. Ash looks down to find a psychotic doll grinning up at him like it's Christmas morning, and his response probably would be something like, what the hell is this? So Chucky, in order to win this battle, would try to use stealth. He would be slashing from the shadows, but that kind of theatrical villainy doesn't work on Ash. Once Ash realizes who and what he's dealing with, the tone shifts fast. He goes from confused to cocky. The boomstick comes out, the chainsaw revs, and Chucky finds out that taunting a man who has a chainsaw for a hand was a very bad idea. Now, there'd be a chase. Sure, Chucky's fast and he's sneaky, and he might get in a few stabs and a few insults, but once Ash gets his hands on him, it's completely over. Now, out of all of these slashers, Chucky's probably the only one Ash would genuinely enjoy fighting. So to be honest, for Chucky, honestly, I feel like it would just take some time considering how annoying he is. He's like a mosquito. And next, we have Michael Myers. So this fight would most likely just begin with Ash cracking jokes, cocky as ever, thinking he's he's dealing with just another lunatic, but this time with a lousy kitchen knife. He'd think, does this guy really think he can beat me? He would laugh, then walk away. But the moment Ash turns his back, Michael strikes without hesitation. Now Ash would recover quickly, revving up his chainsaw arm with a one-liner, maybe something like, "Alright, Shatner face. Oh, let's dance." From there, it's complete chaos. Ash goes in swinging and Michael absorbs each blow. Now, shotgun blast to the chest would hurt him, but as we've seen in the movies, Michael can endure a lot of gunshots before falling to the ground. So I feel like this would turn into a cat and mouse brawl throughout the forest, and then maybe lead to like a cabin or something, or some type of house. Blood would spatter across the walls, furniture would be smashed, but Michael wouldn't speak at all. He wouldn't even react. He would just keep on coming and coming and coming. But ultimately, Ash's dirty tactics would help him win this fight. Maybe luring Michael into a trap or blowing the place sky high. Now, it might be enough to bring the shape down, or when Michael is immobilized, he could slice Michael into pieces with his chainsaw, but even then, Ash wouldn't be unscathed. I feel like he would be damaged, and he would probably be like, how did this guy with a kitchen knife even touch me? So with Michael Myers, honestly, I'll put him in the honorable battle. And next we have Freddy Krueger. So here's the thing, Ash has actually been to otherworldly realms before and faced horrors that make even Freddy's dreamscapes look like a kindergarten nap time. He's no stranger to insanity, and if anyone can roll with the madness of a Freddy dream, it's Ash. Then he would drift off to sleep, and then everything would change. He wakes up in the cabin, but it's not quite right. The walls are breathing, and even his chainsaw is whispering to him. Then comes old boy Freddy. He toys with Ash at first, but Ash, he wouldn't break. He throws Freddy through his own illusions, flips dream logic on its head. It's essentially mind versus madness, and Ash has more experience with madness than he cares to admit. So Ash would start getting the hang of the rules, realizing that belief shapes reality here. Now Freddy might even turn into a massive demon, so then Ash would turn into a medieval knight with a broomstick lance. It would become less of a horror fight and more of a Looney Tunes death match with gallons of blood and screams. But that's exactly where Ash thrives, in chaos. And in the end, it all depends on who controls the dream. If Freddy keeps the upper hand, Ash could be torn apart again and again. But if Ash figures out the rules, flips the script, and turns Freddy's own tricks against him, so for Freddy, we'll put him at the top of honorable battle. And next we have Jason Voorhees. When Jason shows up, you die. Now Ash has faced big threats before. Sure, demons, evil clones, deadite monsters, but Jason honestly is a completely different breed. Now you don't talk trash to Jason, you either run or fight with everything that you've got. Now their first counter would be very explosive. Now Ash might even get the drop on him early, maybe slicing deep with the chainsaw or blowing a hole in Jason's chest with the boomstick. Now he's the kind of opponent that soaks up pain like it's nothing. Ash would realize real quick that this isn't just your average supernatural punk. And also, the setting would matter. Maybe we could throw them in the woods, maybe at Jason's home. Now Ash would have to be very resourceful, maybe set up some traps, camp behind a tree, or wait until the right time to blow Jason right out of the water. Now if he ever gets Jason on the ground, he would probably try to bury Jason, or even burn him, or even blow him up, but then again, Jason would still rise. At some point, Ash might even land a fatal blow, but honestly, it won't stick, because it never does. Now Ash could walk away thinking he's won, only to hear that familiar, eerie sound behind him. So for Jason, honestly, I would put him in honorable battle, but I would put him above Michael Myers. And now that I think about it, honestly, Michael Myers kinda goes right here. I'm not gonna lie. And next we have the Ring Girl. Now once Ash gets his hands upon the creepy VHS tape, he'd probably watch it just for shits and giggles. Then he would realize, oh wow, this isn't a movie. Great. But more monsters for me, you know what I'm saying? So where others panic or try to outsmart the curse through research, Ash would skip straight to what he does best. Violence. Now the second Samara starts crawling out of the TV, Ash wouldn't scream like the others do. He'd completely blast the screen with the boomstick, cover the floor with salt and holy water, or maybe just use tequila and duct tape, let's be real. I mean, in the end, the cursed tape is just another artifact to him. A cursed object? I mean, come on, please. He's had whole weekends ruined by those. And honestly, with Samara, just because of how annoying those tapes are, honestly, we'll put her and it'll take some time. And next we have Pinhead. Now Ash might stumble upon the laminate configuration, maybe hidden in the basement of a Deadeye infested mansion, and Ash, he'd probably try to open it without reading the instructions. And that's when it takes a turn down left field. The moment that box clips into place, reality would shift. The walls would peel open and the air turns cold. Chains slither through the void and then Pinhead appears. You called, we came. But this isn't some Deadeye or a possessed toy. This is a cosmic entity that feeds on pain and sees humans as fragile toys to dissect. Now Ash would try to fight because, I mean, that's what Ash does. He'd probably blast a few shots off, maybe even slice through a few hooks, but it wouldn't take long enough for him to realize that you can't kill hell with a shotgun. If Ash has any hope of surviving, it's not through fighting. It's through his brain. Now he would need to undo the laminate configuration mid-fight, and that's if he manages to do that all mid-fight. And honestly, Pinhead would be Ash's hardest battle, I'm not gonna lie. And last but not least, we have Ghostface. Now, Ghostface wouldn't last long. Let's just get that right out of the way. This is a human in a Halloween costume with a hunting knife and a cell phone plan. So the confrontation would probably start with Ghostface doing what he does best, calling Ash from a block number, asking creepy questions in that signature distorted voice. So Ash would be fighting some Deadites and he would answer his cell phone mid-fight. Then as soon as he hangs up, the ambush would come in. Ghostface would be lunging from behind a door, but instead of a terrified victim, he finds a guy who's already fighting monsters daily and just so happens to have a chainsaw for a hand. And I can picture it all perfectly. The shot pans to Ash while he's already in the process of dealing with some Deadites. Then Ghostface comes out of nowhere lunging in slow motion, just for Ash to turn around and brutally chainsaw him in half while he's still in his slow motion sequence thinking he's some type of badass. And then boom, GG. So Ghostface, it would be so easy, it's laughable.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another tier list. So I've been trying to make other tier lists lately, and under my Art the Clown tier list video I came across this comment. And I was like, wait, why don't I make a supernatural tier list? This is literally my top 5 show of all time. I guess I kind of got stuck milking Dexter videos, but yes, we are doing a supernatural tier list. And this one, honestly, in my opinion, was the most fun to make because I love this show so much. And I decided, let's rank slashers, their chances of surviving Sam and Dean Winchester. And I thought, hey, Sam and Dean hunt down supernatural creatures. Let's put supernatural slashers on this tier list and see if Sam and Dean can take them down. So before we get into this video, let me explain the tiers for you guys. They'd kill Sam and Dean, which means they would kill Sam and Dean Winchester. It would be an honorable battle, which means Sam and Dean Winchester will win, but it would kind of be like an Obi-Wan versus Anakin duel. As in, it would be a pretty close match. It'll take a little bit of time, but it would take a little bit of their effort, and they automatically lose, which means, yeah, they just stand no chance whatsoever. Now, let's start with Freddy Krueger. And for this, let me paint you this picture. Let me immerse you into the Sam and Dean universe. Now, I don't really have to do this for every single one of them because all of these slashers wouldn't be in Supernatural because they're different IPs, but yeah, let me do it anyways. So, Sam and Dean would read a newspaper article about the strange disappearances and deaths in Springwood, Ohio, better known as Elm Street. Sam and Dean would investigate as they usually do, using their fake FBI badges to question the families and scan the house for EMF simultaneously. Eventually, they'd uncover what's been happening around here in Elm Street and find out that they're dealing with none other than Freddy Krueger. But since there's no specific lore on how to kill Freddy in the supernatural universe, like there is for many other supernatural creatures they battle, they would need to dig a bit deeper and find out more about Freddy's real life to understand why he's doing what he's doing. Once they discover that he's targeting the children of the people who killed him when he was a human for being a you know what, Sam and Dean will track down the remaining family's children to help them and also find Freddy. Now, you might ask, how in the world will Sam and Dean get into the dream world to kill Freddy? Well, for example, in season 3, episode 10 of Supernatural, Sam and Dean drink a poisonous potion to enter their friend Bobby's dream to save him from his personal nightmares. Now, while they were trying to help Bobby, they also faced their own nightmares too in the episode, but in the end they eventually succeed in getting Bobby out and themselves as well. And I know Freddy wasn't the one orchestrating the punches in that dream state, and if he was, it would be an entire different story, because Freddy is very powerful in the dream state, and that's basically his home court advantage. But one huge weakness that Freddy has is those who don't fear him. And since Sam and Dean, since birth, basically spent their entire lives hunting down evil creatures like, I don't know, Lucifer himself, for example, I highly doubt that they would fear Freddy as an individual, giving them also the upper hand. Also, if Sam, Dean, and Bobby unified, faced their fears of their own nightmares, and resisted Freddy together, I mean, it would also significantly weaken Freddy as a whole, giving them the upper hand. And with the evidence Sam and Dean would have gathered before even entering the dream state in the first place, they'd likely find a way to pull him out of the dream world, possibly through fire or having someone act as a trip sitter, you know, to wake them up. And killing Freddy outside of the dream world would, in my opinion, be the least difficult task for them. Now keep in mind, this wouldn't just be a walk in the park for them if he was out of the dream state. I'm just saying this would be the least of their worries. Considering that he's now mortal and vulnerable, I feel like the Winchesters would inevitably win. So honestly, I would have to give Freddy, it would be an honorable battle. Next, we have Michael Myers. Okay, so let's base this scenario on the 1978 movie Halloween, the classic, because hey, who doesn't like the classics? So Sam and Dean would read a public article about a disturbed killer named Michael Myers who broke free from Smith's Grove Sanitarium. Now before we get into this, let me explain, because I know some of you might have some questions. First of all, why would Sam and Dean care that a killer from a mental hospital broke loose? That wouldn't really identify him as a supernatural creature, and they wouldn't really go after that, you know, because they don't go for non-supernatural killers. And how would they know this is a supernatural case for them also? Well, in the show, we sometimes see the brothers arguing whether, you know, a case meets their criteria or not. Sometimes they check it out anyway to see if it's a supernatural job, and it ends up being a job. And for this, I think they would check it out. They could possibly think that Michael was possessed when he killed his sister as a little boy. Also, some say Michael Myers was kind of human-like in this movie and not supernatural, but I think he's more supernatural than human, because this man survived how many shots to the body in the scene, and then also fell down how many feet? Okay, now when Sam and Dean arrive in Haddonfield, the challenge of finding Michael Myers, in my opinion, wouldn't really be too hard, because Sam and Dean already know everything about him, from where he used to live, from his psychiatrist to his sister Lori, and they're pretty smart, so they could put two and two together. Michael Myers already killed his first sister, now he broke out and he might kill his second sister. And just like every single case they go on, the Winchesters do their research, so it wouldn't be like they're going in on him blind. And also, since there isn't a real specific way to kill Michael Myers, it would be kind of tough for Sam and Dean, essentially. In other movies like Halloween Ends, Michael was thrown into a machine that essentially broke him into itty bitty pieces, and I don't even know if that's the last movie. I've heard rumors going around that there's going to be another Halloween movie, so then he doesn't die at all. So what does kill Michael Myers? Yeah, he can be stunned and stopped, but eventually just comes back somehow, some way. So, I mean, they could call in a favor from Castiel to smite him, but let's not give them any help. It's Sam and Dean versus the slashers. Keep that in mind. Now, Sam and Dean display great combat skills throughout the show in hand-to-hand and in guns, but Michael's brute strength is unmatched. They can't take him on hand-to-hand, and their weapons wouldn't really do much to him. They could stun him, but as we've seen, Michael can endure a lot of shots. So they would need to load up on a lot of shotgun ammo to stun him. But then again, Michael Myers is considered, I guess you could say, a demonic force. So maybe a devil's trapped engraved bullet could stop him in his tracks. But also, there's the cult that could one-shot Michael, because the cult doesn't abide by any lore. I mean, the only thing that the cult can't kill is a couple people. And Michael definitely isn't one of them. But would they want to waste the cult ammo on somebody like Michael? But I feel like with all the traps, guns, and spells that they have on their side, I think Michael Myers would inevitably meet his demise, or they would just try to completely stun him for life and try to immobilize him. I do feel like it would be an honorable battle, but I would
put him over Freddy Krueger. Next, we have Art the Clown. So for Art the Clown, let's base this on Terrifier 2 and 3, because in Terrifier 1, Art the Clown was just a human. Yes, in the end of Terrifier 1, he became a demon, but that's only towards the literal end. So just like every single case, Sam and Dean would read about it and head to the destination. They'd arrive in Miles County, New York to investigate a serial killing clown. Now also keep in mind, if you're a true watcher of Supernatural, you know that Sam Winchester is very scared of clowns. But wait, hold up, you just said Sam and Dean would not fear Freddy Krueger. What do you mean they would fear a clown? No, I mean Sam specifically would fear it. Because Sam grew up scared of clowns, it kind of just makes this funny, but I'm just messing with you. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't really mess up Sam's ability to kill Art the Clown, and plus he has Dean by his side, so Dean would just snap him into it. But after intense research, they would find police reports of Art being reportedly dead from the first film, as seen in Terrifier 1, because the police swarmed Art the Clown and watched him unalive himself. Then they transported him to the morgue, only for him to somehow go missing after that, thus putting him on the radar, because they would be like, wait, this strange serial killing clown disappeared after he died. That makes no sense. They would also know that Sienna Shaw is one of the survivors of Art the Clown, as seen in Terrifier 2. They'd approach her as FBI agents and ask her about any unusual happenings, eventually getting her to talk. She would eventually reveal that Art is a demon of some sort. She'd explain all about Art and probably even give Sam and Dean Winchester the sword intended to kill him. Or, I mean, if we want to get real technical about Art the Clown lore, they'd help Sienna Shaw kill Art the Clown, since she is the chosen one to kill Art the Clown. But if all else fails, they'd pull out their trusty demon blade and do the jobs themselves, killing Art and Fakey, thus ending Art the Clown once and for all. And in my opinion, I don't even think Art the Clown is much of a threat to the brothers at all, considering Sam and Dean have killed far more dangerous demons than Art. Art is kind of just a regular demon that the brothers would kill for breakfast. So in my opinion, honestly, I would feel like it would take a little bit of time. And also, it's not just Art the Clown, it's Vicky too, so that would be another annoying road bump. Coming in next, we have Ghostface. Now, I mean, I'm not going to give a background scenario for every character, because like every case, Sam and Dean get their cases from a source or a public news outlet, then head to that location. So I mean, it would just be repetitive. Now, I know that Ghostface isn't a supernatural slasher, so why would Sam and Dean even go after him in the first place? And well, you're right, I don't really have an answer for that. Ghostface isn't supernatural at all. But since Ghostface is entirely human with some notable skills, as we've seen from Roman Bridger, the best Ghostface in my opinion, would Ghostface put up a fight with Sam and Dean Winchester? Now, the answer is just no, not at all. I think Ghostface automatically lands at the lowest tier. Like, to be honest, I feel like he would just automatically lose. Even though Sam and Dean are human, their skill set far exceeds anyone from the Ghostface verse. Like, it wouldn't really be a fair fight with the knowledge these two possess. Coming in next on this list, we have Jaws, the killer great white shark. Now, some people say that Jaws is a slasher movie, and some say it's just a thriller. And I think it is just a thriller/horror. But I'm still putting the infamous shark on this list no matter what. Now, this isn't a typical monster that the boys would hunt, but hey, I mean, they've hunted a lot of weirder things, so let's be honest. Now, the shark itself isn't supernatural, but it can be interpreted in supernatural ways, if that really makes any sense. Like, this is a shark that specifically targets humans, or a shark that's evil and preys on humans. Also, I mean, the shark is very unusually large, around 25 feet. I mean, that's bigger than the average great white shark. So just from those details, you would already think it's a supernatural shark. So they would pull up no matter what. Low key, I would feel like. So the boys would investigate the case, thinking the shark's behavior and size is unusual, only to find out that it's not supernatural. But I mean, they would still, kill it to help save lives, because as we know, these boys love to save lives. And also, as we know, at the end of Jaws, the shark dies when Brody shoots an air canister into its jaws. So the shark could be put down by natural means, but it won't be easy. So Sam and Dean would have to be very careful and bait the shark to them. Once baited, I feel like they would just reenact the same move when Brody used,
and destroy the shark. So to me, I feel like this would just take a little bit of time, to be honest, but I feel like it would be under Art the Clown. And also, I feel like they wouldn't even need to reenact that Brody scene, because I feel like just all the tools that they have in the trunk of Dean's Impala would just completely destroy Jaws. I mean, have you seen what's in that thing? It's even devil trapped. Coming in next, we have Jason Voorhees. So let's use Friday the 13th part 6, is it? Jason Lives, where he is a supernatural zombie who rose from the dead with insane strength. Or in this case, I guess you would say a super zombie. Now in this movie, Tommy Jarvis kind of stops Jason at the end, but you know, not for good. Like at the end of the film, we see Jason alive, but still restrained. Obviously it took everything out of Tommy to do this, not saying it was easy for him. And with some plot armor and luck, since he's only a human, he was able to restrain zombie Jason under the lake. So for the Winchesters, you would think it would be a lot easier, but in my opinion, I don't think it would be easy at all. This is Jason Voorhees we're talking about, guys. And since Tommy only restrained Jason and almost died doing it, I feel like Sam and Dean would go the extra mile to ensure that he never breathes again. Now, the cult would obviously stop Jason indefinitely. I mean, hell, the cult would probably solo this entire list. I mean, not probably, it would. So it's just not kind of fair to say the cult, but I mean, it's a part of the universe. You know what I mean? It's a part of the universe. But I mean, they can still miss. That is one thing, and they can still miss. It's not like they shoot it and instantly goes right through them. But let's kind of give these characters a little bit more leeway. But since we're using lore from both of the shows, I'd say the brothers would have to use Jason's weaknesses, like water, aka the lake, against him, just like Tommy did. But this time, while restraining him, they would load up on shotgun rounds and unload them into Jason's face. Because Jason Voorhees is a zombie in this movie, right? Technically. And also in the supernatural lore, if you headshot a zombie, they instantly die. So for all of that yapping, in my opinion, I think this would be another honorable match, and I feel like Sam and Dean would come out on top, although I would put Jason Voorhees at the top of this list because I feel like Jason wins against Michael, and we've already seen that Jason won in Freddy vs. Jason. So last but not least, we have Edward from Twilight. Okay, so I know that Twilight isn't a slasher movie at all, but I had to put this character on here. I just had to, guys. Edward is the main vampire from Twilight, and I'd say that this would be a very hard matchup for Sam and Dean Winchester. You guys might say, wait, Sam and Dean have fought numerous vampires throughout the shows. What do you mean this would be hard for Sam and Dean Winchester? And you also might ask, what makes Edward different from all these vampires that Sam and Dean Winchester face in Supernatural? The thing is, in Twilight, vampires are way more OP than vampires in Supernatural. And just for starters, Ed is telepathic, and he also has superhuman stamina and strength. He can throw cars and crush metal. He's also, oh my god, insanely fast in this movie. And Edward is also never killed in the Twilight films, but this also doesn't mean that he can't be killed. So in my opinion, I feel like we would use the supernatural lore on how to kill a vampire. Beheading, or being smited by an angel, or using dead men's blood. And in my opinion, I don't think Sam and Dean by themselves would ever get close to Edward because of his insane speed. Even if they use the Colt, there's no way they're hitting Edward. And they also have limited shots in the Colt, by the way. Their best bet, in my opinion, would be using Castiel to smite them. But since we're only talking about Sam and Dean Winchester, because I'm keeping it fair with every single ranking, no Castiel, no help. Only Sam and Dean versus the slashers. So in my opinion, I feel like they would kill Sam and Dean Winchester, because if you've seen Twilight, these vampires, even when they're werewolves, they're just no joke at all. I don't care how silly the movies are, they're just no joke. And I love Sam and Dean Winchester as well, but yeah, this is my list. Also, I'm down to make a part 2. So if you guys have any other slashers you would love to see, or it doesn't even have to be slashers, any supernatural creature from other shows, let me know.